Hi, I'm Steve Allsworth. Buddy Guy has been hailed as one of the greatest blues guitarists of all time, and rightly so. He's got this utterly beautiful yet slightly chaotic sound which is completely unique. But the one technique which makes him stand out from other blues guitarists is his creativity with timing when soloing. He's got this amazing ability to drift away from the band's time, particularly in a slow blues context where there's a bit more space. So in this lesson, we're going to dig into some ideas for playing outside of the rhythmic grid for more expressive and emotive delivery when improvising. For this lesson, we've hooked up with Match My Sound. If you go to the Guitar World article, which is in the link down below, you'll not only get the tab and notation, but you'll also be able to use Match My Sound to record yourself and see how close you get to my playing. This is a great tool for monitoring your progress, so go check it out. The first thing I'd like to talk about is playing on the grid. In a slow 12/8 blues, we've got groupings of 3, and we tend to feel the stress on every downbeat. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. And this can often result in always starting our phrasing on those downbeats, and this can sound a bit predictable. So let me demonstrate a typical Buddy Guy approach, but with an on-the-grid time feel, and then afterwards we can discuss ways of changing it up. So this already sounds pretty good. We've got plenty of space and we've got some typical mixing of major and minor pentatonic ideas. For example, we've got an opening B.B. King style phrase, which is straight out of our major pentatonic scale and follows the major triad. And we've got some of those throwaway faster licks that Buddy Guy is known for using the minor pentatonic. But hopefully you can hear that we're always starting each of those ideas on the downbeat. Even the bending lick is following a classic blues shuffle rhythm. And this can sound a bit predictable. So the first thing that we can do with all of those ideas is try to shift to either side of those downbeats and just be a little bit looser with our timing in general. So that's a great example of this kind of yin and yang tension and release sound that Buddy Guy is one of the absolute masters of. In the next example, we're going to be playing through one of Buddy's trademark ideas, which uses a pedal root note on the high C sharp. And underneath we'll be playing notes out of our C sharp minor blues scale. Now Buddy does this with his thumb and index finger in the picking hand. This creates a natural staccato effect which Buddy is well known for. Now I think we can use a little bit of artistic license here and maybe try hybrid picking, which is the pick and middle finger. And this means that you won't have to change your picking technique midway through a solo. So once again, I'm going to demonstrate some on-the-grid ideas and then we can look at some ways of playing in the cracks. this is a really effective idea. You'll often hear Buddy play an entire 12-bar solo with this one idea alone. Now, we're mostly playing to the underlying 3-note grid, which you can hear on the hi-hat. And the faster grid of 6. Now, what Buddy does so well is contract and expand those musical phrases, almost like a piece of elastic. And to me, the sensation is a little bit like running through treacle and then tripping over yourself trying to catch up again. So this can take a little bit of getting used to, but it's a really effective way of being less precise and more expressive. So I'm going to play those same ideas again, but this time I'm going to pull the phrasing around a bit more. Towards the end of that example, we've got a really effective way of playing off-grid, and that's by playing a grouping of 4 notes where we'd normally hear 3. You hear loads of blues players like B.B. King, Albert King, and of course Buddy use this technique. Now, we perhaps don't want to be too scientific about this because we'll lose the whole essence of blues playing, and certainly those players are probably not thinking of this, but it's at least worthwhile understanding how this feels. So, as I mentioned before, when we're in 12/8, what we call a compound time signature, we feel the beat divided into 3. So we tend to get this sound. Now, when we're in a regular 4/4 time signature, we feel the beat divided into 2s and 4s. Now, over the top of our slow blues backing, this will feel really wonky and slightly out of time. Now, this really feels like we're playing in the cracks over the top of a slow blues. So this is really just a question of feel. We don't have to be too precise with this. It's got this kind of drunken, dragging feel. In fact, the destination is probably more important than the rhythm itself. So when we go to the 4 chord, which is F#7, we're trying to land on this sliding note. Now, if you don't land exactly on beat 1 when we change that chord, it's not really important. The intention here is more about trying to relinquish some control over the underlying rhythmic grid. One of the things that you'll hear Buddy do a lot is milk a really simple blues phrase with rhythm. So you might start out with an on-the-grid idea like this. This is a typical group of 6 notes that we can easily shift up the octave if we wanted to. But it sounds quite rigid and square at the moment. So what we can do is stretch this out by starting off really slow and then gradually speeding up throughout the line. Now, when Buddy does this, it sounds a little bit like a stretched bungee cord, gradually accelerating through the line. Now, he often does this starting out with whisper quiet dynamics. And sometimes he'll pick closer to the bridge for a slightly spikier, more aggressive sound, and this can be great for building up through the dynamics. This gradual speeding up is almost impossible to notate, so try to have the destination point in mind when you're playing the line, as this is where we'll feel the natural release of tension when we change chord. In this case, it's a typical Buddy Guy first finger bend. And as I said before, don't worry if you don't hit that lick on beat 1 as soon as we change to the next chord. If you're slightly early or slightly late, it doesn't really matter. And this will give you a lot more freedom of expression when you're playing the line, and you can stretch it out a little bit longer if you want to. So let's explore all of those ideas in a longer 12-bar solo. As you can see, all of the ideas that we looked at are fairly interchangeable over various parts of the 12-bar, and this is something that you can explore much further by yourself. So I hope you've enjoyed this whistle-stop tour of the rhythmic creativity within Buddy Guy's soloing, and it's given you plenty to think about and practice. I'm Steve Allsworth. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to guitarworld.com.